This program may contain material that is not suitable for all audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
Welcome to Straight Talk with DC Hannah, coming to you live from the heart of the Rona Apocalypse Recovery Phase 2. I am DC Hannah, libertarian outlaw and leader of the cigar resistance. What's that you say? Coronavirus Recovery Phase 2? Well, nobody really knows what that means. It's all made up bullshit. That's right. They're making it up as they go along. Different jurisdictions have different phases. They have different things that you can do to get back into life, to reopen the economy. And it wasn't made up with any scientific certainty. It certainly wasn't made up with any consideration of what's the most effective way to slow the spread of the Rona while still allowing for commerce, for shopping, for life. No, it was public health officials who are literally accountable to no one making it up as they go along. Over in Kansas, we had the state public health officials and the governor insert an extra step in the recovery. A few weeks ago, they announced we were going to begin step 1 or phase 1 of the recovery. And then after 2 weeks, they said, oh, wait, no. Now we need to insert a step 1.5. And now nobody knows where we are. In Johnson County, Kansas, the county commissioners basically threw their hands up in the air and said, we can't figure it out either. Just wash your damn hands and don't lick strangers. Which means that Johnson County owes me some royalty money because that's what I've been saying all along. Yeah, wherever you are, do you even know what the phases are, what they mean, why they are where they are? Well, if you're in Kansas City, nobody knows. Literally nobody knows. The mayor doesn't know. He acts like he knows. But if you put him on the spot right now and said, how many people can I have in my restaurant? Oh, you could have as many as your seating will allow. Or maybe you can half fill, or maybe every 6 feet. Now, that's not a problem of branding. It's not a problem of making sure, caused by not properly communicating. It is because the whole thing makes no damn sense. So let me tell you what you can do right now. If you're an individual, wherever you are, you can do whatever you damn well please. Because with the exception of a couple of places where the government is really seriously cracking down, ineffectively I might add, there's no enforcement activity going on. The Karens are still calling 911 for something that they should be calling calling a non-emergency line for, and they're reporting that you're standing too close together, or that you've opened a business, or that, God forbid, people are dancing. That's right, dancing. It's happened. Now that reminds me of the Police Academy movie where when one of the characters finds himself in a gay bar and his commanding officer says, what happened? Dancing, sir, mostly dancing. Well, according to the Karens, if you were mostly dancing, you're spreading death. So your outdoor activities must be Karen approved. Well, what kind of Karen approved activities are there right now? Well, there's rioting. That's right, the Karens are not calling the law if you've engaged in riot. And if they were, the government wouldn't do anything about it anyway, because public health officials have declared rioting to be a corona-free zone. They're not out there forcing people to stand 6 feet apart, to wear their masks, to use hand sanitizer as they burn down a Wendy's. No, instead, public health officials said, well, we believe in social distancing, but rioting is important. Protesting is protected. That is, unless you are protesting the shutdown and the orders. If you go to the state capitol in order to protest the fact that the government has put your business out of business, then you're a criminal. You're a bad guy. But if you burn down a Wendy's, if you drag somebody out of a car and beat them up, or if you attack a police station, you are engaging in protected speech, and therefore they like it. Now, I'm of the opinion that all protesting and all commerce and all public activity are in fact free exercise. And that free exercise is protected by the Constitution. Now, the Constitution doesn't give us rights. It protects rights we already have. And so when the government infringes on those protected rights, it is violating the Constitution. Now, I've gotten a lot of blowback from Karens and from from the mask mafia about this. But, pandemic. Did you know there was a pandemic going on during the Revolutionary War? Did you know there was another pandemic going on while the Constitution was being written? And yet, the founders and the framers did not put a pandemic exception into the Constitution. That's because freedom was that important. It was so important that they did not write exceptions. All the exceptions have been carved out. They've been created ever since. And as a rule, people accept those as reasonable restrictions with the idea that your rights aren't absolute. Well, you know what? Your rights are absolute, and they are infringed upon when the government gives themselves permission to do it. Well, in order to exercise some of our rights, we have to be outlaws. And that's why I, the libertarian outlaw, live the outlaw life. Enough said. So for you, it's summertime. You're bored. You've made it all the way to the end of Netflix. You've made it all the way to the end of Hulu. And you've made it all the way to the end of Pornhub. What are you going to do? Well, I suggest you go outside. Go outside and do something. And here's a couple of ideas. Number one, you can run the Boston Marathon. You can run the Boston Marathon virtually this year because they're not going to have the marathon in Boston. Instead, you run the marathon where you are, and you provide suitable documentation and pay them a pretty hefty fee to get the shirt bib that you didn't wear when you ran, the t-shirt, and probably your own little medal from the Boston Marathon. You're not a marathon runner? Guess what? It doesn't matter anymore. You just have to self-identify as a marathon runner. But you got to run 26.2 miles, and you have to do it in less than 5 or 6 or 7 hours to qualify. How do you do that? Well, I have a couple of ideas. First is you do it in little bits. Now, it's got to be completed within I think it's a 5-day window. So, within your 5-day window, you run 26.2 miles. Now, if that takes a quarter mile at a time, brother, do it. But document you do it. And they do require some GPS documentation and someone else to sign off. Got it covered, huh? Yeah, we're on the way. The other way, if you want to do it, is skateboarding. And if skateboarding is too much exertion for you, how about an electric power skateboard? Or maybe a motorbike? Or, get this, a mobility cart. That's right, a mobility scooter. Now we have something for the coronapotamus crowd. They can run their mobility scooters in the Boston Marathon. 26.2 miles on the mobility scooter. Now, I don't know what their battery power is, but, you bring a spare battery, recharge, hook up to your car, and recharge the battery. And now you have the coronapotamus Boston Marathon. With the mask, of course. Now, they've got to do it with the mask, right? Everything is mask these days. Okay? By the way, this mask was This mask appears to have been donated by a tiny little Chippendales dancer. And from the smell, I can't really tell. I don't smell any Chippendales dancers. Not that I've ever smelled one, but I have a vivid imagination. All right? But I'm going to put this mask on to run the Boston Marathon. And, oh my God. Why didn't somebody tell me my breath is this bad? Seriously. This is a thing I'm going to call Rona Breath. Rona Breath. Oh, God, Rona Breath. Have you noticed that yet if you're a mask wearer? Your breath is awful. Depending on what you ate, whether you smoke cigars, what you drink, your overall general health, and of course the sensitivity of your nose, you could make yourself sick from one of these things. Good Lord. Well, what are we going to do about it? Well, you do have to wash them every day. And this is a freshly washed mask. But still, put this thing on. And I remember that, man, I had Greek food for supper. And I smoked a cigar. Maybe you could spray some Febreze on it, huh? Or maybe, here we go. This is an air freshener. An air freshener. Now, I thought about getting the little tree air freshener, but decided that instead the Mr. Poop air freshener is probably more apt. And it's fair warning for everybody else. So, put on the Mr. Poop air freshener on the mask. Kind of looks like a weird tea bag, doesn't it? Insert tea bag joke here. Well, as you can see, because this is recorded live, sometimes things will go wrong, and they often do. But anyway, there's our Mr. Poop air freshener. Now, Mr. Poop doesn't smell like poop, which is good because that's really one more aroma I don't need going through my Rona mask. But Mr. Poop doesn't really do the job because the Rona is the smell is on the inside and Mr. Poop is on the outside. And there we go. Now I think we finally got it. There he is, my very own poop tea bag air freshener system. Yep, looks like it should be hanging from the rear view mirror, doesn't it? Happy poop. My breath is now happy poop, and it's gone. Well, that didn't work too well. Friends, this segment was brought to you by Listerine. Because by God, if you're going to wear a mask, you got to wash your mouth out pretty frequently. Fortunately, they now make a pocket-sized flask of Listerine. Listerine-y goodness. This one's mint. Look at the ingredients, and it contains menthol. So it's menthol, like a Newport cigarette menthol, huh? Hey, that's pretty damn good. Another snort. This stuff will grow on you. You know what else? This stuff is 10% alcohol, which is twice that of most beers. So that, the menthol, some of these other great ingredients, and you now have not only a great breath freshener, but a fine drink in your pocket flask. And since it freshens your breath, you're much better off, and so is everyone around you. Well, that is a great, great idea to carry your flask. But of course, it's limited because you can't just take a pull whenever you want, right? So you got your mask on and you can't get your bottle open. You got your mask on and you're going to take a drink. And there we go. Oops. Don't strain it through your mask. So now you're doing this. Now you better swallow it, by the way, because you're going to spit it out through the mask and you got a hell of a mess on your hands. Well, the pocket flask of Listerine was just brilliant because you can also pour it out, half of it, and add vodka. Yes, it's drinkable. You can certainly drink it. And now nobody knows that you're carrying a flask half filled with vodka because it looks like Listerine. And it tastes like Listerine. Yummy mint flavored vodka. I wonder why nobody came up with that idea. Well, you can drink your mint flavored vodka while you run the virtual Boston Marathon or ride it in your mobility cart. And you'll be happy twice as much. But if that's not for you, here's another outdoor sport, and that's cornhole. Yes, cornhole. Now, I looked on Amazon, and cornhole has become popular enough that you can't find a cornhole board set. Cornhole, the game in which there are two boards with holes in them, set, I think, 40 feet apart, maybe 20, and you throw bean bags over or underhand to try and get them in the cornhole. Now, this child's game has become a big sport. Johnsonville Sausages is a major sponsor of both college and professional cornhole. Did you ever imagine you'd see a guy on TV talking about college and professional cornhole? Well, I'd say this is another result of the Rona. All the real sports have gone by the wayside. But Johnsonville Brats and other sausage products are a sponsor of cornhole. And in their cornhole tournaments, which I watched the other day, everyone was wearing a mask. Now, there were only like 5 people in the room. There was no audience. I mean, really, how exciting would it be to watch cornhole? So getting rid of the audience was simple. But 5 people in the room, 4 competitors and the cornhole judge in an empty room, tossing beanbags in a hole. And they were all wearing masks. So masked cornhole has gone mainstream. It's no longer a lifestyle. It's a sport. And it's not even on Pornhub. No, it's everywhere. This was on ESPN. Now that shows me ESPN is pretty damn desperate. They've run out of 10-year-old playoff games and biographies of sport figures from 30 years ago. And now they're looking for stuff to talk about. So masked cornhole it is. They even had a league board set up. This guy and this guy, this team and this team, to the cornhole championships. I'm not entirely sure I want to see what the trophy or the medal for being the best at masked cornhole would be. Oh, hell, who am I kidding? My curiosity is piqued. I need to see it. So I'll watch for masked cornhole again and see what turns up. Oh, God. We just talked for 5 minutes about masked cornhole. There's got to be something better to do with our time. How about if we take a break, go outside, fire up a cigar, and see what comes to mind?
You're listening to Straight Talk with DC Hannah. Talk radio that's strong enough for a man, but I like it too.
Welcome back to Straight Talk with DC Hannah, coming to you live from the great outdoors. Now, you've watched my show. You've seen sometimes I'm silly. Sometimes I'm serious. Sometimes you may not get the joke. Sometimes it may not seem to be a joke. And if you're watching and you're expecting the show to be one thing or another, either all serious or all humor, all about guns, all about cigars, all about politics, if you're looking for one thing, you're going to be disappointed. But if you look at it with a look inside the mind of a guy with a lot of things on his mind, a lot of happy things, a lot of sad things, a lot of serious things, a lot of fun things, then maybe you can enjoy it just a little bit more. Well, today's cigar, one of those things, is the La Gloria Cubana Serie E Esteli. Good cigar. Nice, smooth smoker with just a touch of Nicaraguan pepper underneath. I definitely have no complaints about this cigar, especially with a good cup of coffee. Now, some folks who follow on Facebook, they follow for my cigar reviews, my pairings, my morning meditations. Morning meditation is a quick note about something I'm thinking about. Now, I stole the idea of meditation, honestly, from the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, whose book, The Meditations, has influenced untold millions of thinkers over the millennia. So these are often my meditations, my little thought experiments, my way of thinking of things. And they're often humorous, but they're sometimes serious. So today we're going to talk about something serious, and that's your mental health. Not mental health in the pop sense of assigning someone a diagnosis to explain bad behavior, but no, about your overall mental health, about your ability to deal with the stressors of life, the many stressors of today's life, not more stressors. People who believe that we're worse today, that we have more stress, it's harder to handle things today, they're really not looking at the past. We have a disease process in the United States and around the world with a 99.9% survival rate. Yet people are losing their shit over it. We have unemployment that's a result of government reaction to that same disease process. People are losing their shit over it. We have social unrest, brother against brother, and people are losing their shit over it. And then there are some people who accept the things they cannot change. Change the things they can, and influence the things that they can influence. That's Stoicism in a nutshell, the philosophy I practice. I'm a cowboy stoic, a warrior philosopher. And when people demand an emotional response of me to some external thing, based on what we're being fed by the media, they won't get it. First of all, because being stoic, I place thought before emotion. Let reason be the master of your mind. Second up, in most cases, it's not my circus, not my monkeys. Somebody's really upset about where Donald Trump has the convention. I don't care. Some people are really upset about something happening somewhere else. They're expending energy that doesn't change anything. They're expending energy that doesn't influence anything. They're wasting their time and energy. And energy, as physics will tell us, is not infinite. You only get so much at any time in your life. If you are spending your time and energy worrying about things you can't change, and you haven't figured out yet that you can't change them, step back and take a look. That old canard that, every little bit helps, it's bullshit. If you're over there doing something that doesn't change the thing over here, your energy over there was wasted. And by wasted, I mean better spent on something else. So what am I doing here? Well, I'm actually practicing something to promote mental health. And that is to inject humor into things. It's to find something I like and to do it, even if nobody watches it. And I've looked at the numbers. I know that I get 30, 40, 50 viewers a week. And you know what? While I love the audience, it doesn't really matter whether it's 40 or 400,000 people watching me on Facebook. I've long ago given up any delusions that I will change the world, but I will continue to change my world. I will continue to live my life and find the better way to find happiness. Now, if you're having trouble figuring out what happiness is, the Stoics understood. Happiness lies in accepting nature. It lies in accepting the things you cannot change. Simply because, since you can't change it, expending your energy, your time, and your mental health on it can only have a negative impact on you. You eventually learn to accept the things you cannot change. Now, that doesn't mean you accept a thing forever without examining whether you can change yourself or the thing. That option is always there, and it's important to continuously examine it. If you are in a bad work situation, change it. If you're in a bad home situation, change it or change you. If you are alone and solitude bothers you, change it. And with the Rona, I know it's been more difficult. There are fewer social places to go. And many of your friends may be afraid to go out and do things, or even to meet you. Well, use the tools you have with your friends and to make new friends. There are plenty of people out there who hunger for human interaction, just as you do. And do it in a positive way. People are hung up on 12-step self-help groups. I'm not. I have a very low opinion of them. 12-step and self-help groups start off with the premise that a person is broken and that only X, whatever X program or system might be, can unbreak or fix you. But guess what, my friends? You hold the tools of your own growth inside you. Nobody can do it for you. No one can make you free, no one can make you strong, and no one can make you happy. Your happiness comes from within you. You own it, it's yours. Now, we say colloquially, you make me very happy, to our loved ones, our family, our friends. But ultimately, you are the agent of your happiness. I am the agent of my happiness. No one can make me unhappy. I can only choose it. And you do choose it. People often think that some emotional part of their mind is a separate entity. I'm jealous. I'm angry. I'm short-tempered. I'm whatever. And therefore that controls me. Or even worse, they give themselves diagnostic labels that then excuses all manners of behavior. I'm OCD. But when it comes down to it, everything that's happening is happening in your brain. And you can control the good and the bad sides. Self-control comes from within as well. And because you have the tools, perhaps you only need to learn how to use them. And that is where a good teacher comes in. Now, it may be hard to find a teacher for a particular philosophy, but you can teach yourself. And not through self-help books. Self-help books are a misnomer. They're either rebranded philosophies or they're somebody's attempt to make money off of you. Are you messed up? Well, the solution is only $19.99 away. And you read the book, and you're no better off. But you are $19.99 poorer, plus shipping and handling. You've enriched somebody else who's attempted to give you a vague idea of how to make your life better. Now, that one didn't work, right? So, in a few months, when things are still screwed up, you go for another one. And you go for another one. Now, this is not just true of people. It's true in businesses. They're forever finding some new improvement program to make productivity better, make a happier workplace, like Lean In or Sigma 6 or whatever the hell they call them. But they don't work. Most of them don't work because they don't recognize the essential human nature that people are self-motivated, and what they want is happiness. But if they don't understand what happiness is, or reasonable steps to achieve happiness, and I'll say without harming someone else, they'll never reach it. And in these unprecedented times, you know how much I hate that saying. People feel trapped at home. They feel trapped away from work. Their work may have been their major social mechanism, and now they don't have it. We are seeing an increase in suicides. It's being reported across the country. There's an increase in drug and alcohol abuse. It's also being reported across the country. Well, suicide is not the right answer to simple loneliness. Drug abuse is not the answer to simple loneliness. But the answer is out there, and it is in maximizing your social interactions at the same time using more of your brain. Think and do. You know, I joked earlier about the virtual Boston Marathon. Well, you know what? You could get out and walk a half a mile a day, and pretty soon you've walked a marathon. Then reward yourself. You walked 26.2 miles. Now, it may have taken you 53 days to do it, but guess what? You did it. And you're the only one keeping track. You have completed a marathon, perhaps your first. Take up a new hobby. Exercise your mind in a new way. And no, compulsive masturbation to Pornhub is not a new hobby. At least it's not new. It probably shouldn't be your hobby. Use the phone you're watching this show on to learn something new, to download and read a book you may never have read before, to study a foreign language. But give yourself something to focus your mind on. Something new, something that expands your horizons. Not just to the limits of your house or apartment, but to the limits of the earth. Use this tool. Use it well. And you'll be the better for it. It may even give you something that reduces or even eliminates that sense of despair you've been feeling over the things we've lost, over the things you've lost. Make the most out of it. Find your happiness. This is a mighty fine cigar for a warm summer day. Good flavor, nice pepper retrohale. I definitely have no complaints about this La Gloria Cubana Ciriar Esteli, given to me by my friend Rusty. Thanks again, Rusty, I appreciate it. You've been watching Straight Talk with DC Hannah. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Straight Talk with DC Hannah. Like my Facebook page, Straight Talk with DC Hannah. And feel free to come on over and send me a friend request on my Facebook account, DC Hannah, spelled Hannah. Hopefully I've given you something to smile about and definitely given you something to think about. If you've lacked hope, I hope I've given you a little touch of that. Now, go out and make yourself happy. To my family and my friends, I love you. I will talk to you soon. Peace out.